You can solve any equation by using the order of operations in reverse. So when I'm solving an equation, I like to think of what's going on with x. So what we're doing is we're multiplying x by 2 and we're adding 6. So I'm going to write multiplying x by 2, so multiplying by 2, and then adding 6. So when you solve this, you're going to go backwards. So instead of starting with multiplying by 2, you're going to actually start with the adding 6. So the operations to undo this is to subtract 6, and the operation to undo, or the inverse operation of multiplying by 2, is to divide by 2. See how these two, the orders got flipped upside down, and then these are inverse operations and these are inverse operations. So when I solve it, the first thing I'm going to do is from each side, I'm going to subtract 6 to get 2 equals 2x, and then I'm going to divide both sides by 2 to get x equals 1. So that's my solution. So the second one, what's going on with x? Well, I'm adding 12 to x, and then I'm multiplying by 3. So order of operations, you do parentheses first, then multiplication. So the inverse operations are going to be divide by 3 and then subtract 12. So if I divide both sides by 3, I'm dividing this by 3, so I don't need to divide each thing inside here by 3 because I'm already dividing it by 3. I'm going to get x plus 12 equals 5, and then I'm going to subtract 12. So x equals negative 7. So the operations for this one are, I am dividing by 12, and then I am subtracting 8 with x. So the inverse operation is going to be add 8 and then multiply by 12. So if I add 8, I'll get x divided by 12 equals 10. And then I'm going to multiply both sides by 12 to get x equals 120. So what's going on right here is I'm taking an opposite x, so I'm going to multiply by negative 1, and then I'm also adding 6. So on the side of x, you have x multiplied by negative 1, and this is a positive 6. The number in front of 6, or the sign in front of 6, is a positive 6. So the inverse operation is going to be, you're going to subtract 6, and then you're going to divide by negative 1. So if I subtract 6 from each side, I'm going to get negative x equals 4, and then I'm going to divide by negative 1, so x equals negative 4. So my solution over here is x equals negative 4. So the operation on this is, first I'm multiplying by negative 3, and then I'm subtracting 15. So the inverse, I'm going to add 15 and then divide by negative 3. So if I add 15, these two cancel out because those are additive inverse. I'm going to get negative 3x equals 3, so x equals negative 1 when I divide both sides by negative 3. You can use solving equations for a real-world situation. So what I want to do first is I want to define what my variables are. So actually this should read find. So a dress is discounted 20%. So remember, when something is discounted 20%, it means you're actually paying for 80% of it. The final price, excluding sales tax, is $42. Find the original cost of the dress. So I'm doing a word problem. I always look at what are we trying to find, and that's my variable, the original cost. So my variable is going to be cost, which is going to be C. So I need to have something where I'm relating C and it's an equation. So I'm going to have an equal sign. Well, the final price is $42, so I know something's going on with this to equal $42. So it's going to be, you have the original cost of the dress, and you're multiplying it by 20% or 80%, because remember you're only paying 80% of the dress if it's discounted 20%. So this is going to be 80%, but I'm going to write that as a decimal, so 0.8 times C. So to solve, I'm going to divide both sides by 0.8. So C equals 42 divided by 0.8, which is 52.5, but I want to make sure that I'm writing in money and it makes sense, so $52.50, and I put a money symbol. And that makes sense because the original cost should be more than the discounted price of $42. Okay, letter B, a plumber charges $50 an hour plus $25 travel fee. How many hours did the plumber work if he was paid $175? So the variable is going to be how many hours did they work. So the variable is H for hours. The equation, so he was paid $175, so that's my total. But no matter what, he charges a $25 fee plus $50 an hour, so it's going to be 50H. So to solve, I have to do order of operations backwards. So I'm going to subtract 25 first. So I have 50H equals 150, and I'm going to divide both sides by 50. This cancels out. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So H equals 3. I need to write a unit, hours. When you're doing word problems, always have a unit.